Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Successful Woman's Mindset on Everyday Woman TV. My name is Galit Ventura-Rozen. I am co-founder of Everyday Woman TV, a commercial real estate broker, and a corporate speaker. One of my favorite things to do every week is to bring you a woman from a different place in the world that is making a difference and really shining a light on helping others. So today I'm excited to share with you Ryann. Ryann, say hello.
Hi, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, we're going to have a lot of fun talking about your topic today. We're going to be talking about intentional business growth, which I told you before we started that I love the word intentional. And I just want to share a little bit about everybody and then about yourself with everybody. And then make sure you go ahead and jump in and share more, because I know the bio never does us justice, but I want to make sure we have a chance to jump into this topic. So here we go. Ryann Dowdy did everything right in life, and I love the way you wrote this. She had her dream job, six-plus figure salary, family, and a nice home, and she still felt unfulfilled. She realized she was chasing a dream that wasn't hers. As an expert in sales, she created a Facebook group with over 7,000 women looking to follow their dreams of starting a profitable business, which I just love. And I love that you're doing sales training programs, not only for the incredible knowledge and results, but you're also really sharing with this community of women what you yourself have created and what you yourself have experienced. And I'm big into sales. I think it's such a big part of success, knowing how to sell right.
Agreed.
You found more of your success on your journey and you still felt alone. So I love that you went ahead and set up this community so women can be the truest version of themselves. Love those words. Love those. And it's a place where women can connect, work together, and harness their power into one common mission: to be invincible. Some of those words are so much fun.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks so much.
So let's go ahead and jump right in. Tell everybody a little bit. I've got to take you back a little bit to that journey, because so many women can relate to that, thinking they have everything, but still feeling unfulfilled.
Sure. I hear the story over and over and over again, right, Galit, all of the time, of these women who are wildly successful on paper. And they actually have a term for it. They call it golden handcuffs, right? Where you are in this place where you're successful, maybe you're making a decent amount of money, you've climbed the ladder to a certain point, you've grown your business to a certain point, and you feel like it's too late to make a change, right? Because how can you go from here and it feels like either taking a step backwards or a move that you're not excited about. So for me, it was that, right? I'd climbed the ladder in my career, and then I started a business and I built that business, and then I still realized that so much of what I was doing was guided by outside forces and not really ever taking the time to ask myself, like, what do I want? What would make me happy? What kind of business do I want to build? How many hours a week do I want to work? How much travel do I want to do? What kind of people do I want to work with? It was always just like set the goal and chase the goal. And so often I found I was chasing other people's goals or other people's version of success. And I see it over and over again in really smart women.
I think a lot of women that are listening and watching can really relate to that. I know that I can. Sure. I went back to school at 38 years old because of that feeling of feeling unfulfilled. Mm-hmm. Thought I was going to completely change my career. And then I found what I'm doing today. So I think that unfulfilled feeling, that feeling of, for me, being a mom of three at that time that were under the age of 10, 9 years old when I went back to school, for me, it was getting in bed at night, exhausted from my day between running my businesses and running my household and taking care of the kids, and still feeling like something was missing.
Yep, 100%.
What advice or what could you give those women that might be feeling that right now, so maybe they can find their way to the other side like you and I did?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is that you're not alone, because I don't know if this happened to you, Galit, but for me, I went in kind of a little bit of a shame spiral because of this, right? Like, it was, what is wrong with me? Because why can't I just be happy? Right? Like, you have everything, like, what is wrong? So I went into like this guilt and shame, and you should be grateful. And you have, you're so lucky and so blessed and all these different things. So, I went through that. So the first thing I would say to somebody who is experiencing that right now is you're not alone. And honestly, as I talk to women, this is actually a very common story. So the first thing is stop beating yourself up. And the second thing is that it's never too late to reinvent yourself. right? I think we are sold again this old
Yes.
conditioning of like, you climb the ladder and, you know, you do the same thing. You pick a career when you're 18 and you do it when you die, and you retire with your Rolex and all the different things. And like, you can reinvent yourself over and over and over again. And there are no rules around that. And again, it's the fear of judgment. We're like, what are people going to think? You know, I went to school to be an attorney and now I want to go do this.
Yes, I can relate. I can relate to that one.
Right. No, I mean, I got an MBA, you know, I did all the things. I did everything that, you know, I thought was going to make me happy, or other people told me would make me happy. And, you know, I continue to reinvent myself all of the time. And I know that there's judgment. But really at the end of the day, like my quest is joy and happiness and a fun, fulfilled life with my family, and everybody else's opinions. Just, I've had to learn to turn it off, right? To not really lean into that. I wish I could say that I was perfect at that. I'm not, but so the two things I would say is, one, you're not alone. So stop beating yourself up. And two, like, there is no limit of times that you can reinvent yourself until you find the path that you want to be on.
And one of the things that I want to chime in with, which you may have experienced, I did, is that the people that love you, that are around you, they get nervous when you start changing things, because in their eyes, your life is so perfect and you're making all this money and you're doing all the things that you're supposed to do, and they will try to talk you out of it. And so I want to throw in real quick, not all those people are against you. Sometimes it's the people that love you the most and they just are fearful for you to fail. And so my experience with the people that love me the most was, look, I appreciate you being concerned for me, but I promise you, I know what I'm doing and I'm not concerned about failing. And so, yes, there's always those haters and those naysayers. Those people, let's get out of our lives. But I experienced a lot of, why are you going back to school? Your business is making 7 figures. What do you need to go get a master's in therapy for? Why would you want to go listen to people's problems all day long? And it's just so funny, because once they watch you go through it, they then hop on the support bus and they really help you. But I think for me, my biggest experience as well, Ryan, was recognizing that I had to take a really good look at my life, which isn't always easy, and say, what am I happy with and what am I not? What am I happy with? And then the second thing you said that I loved is, what do you want?
Right.
That's something that most people don't know. Not a lot of people get asked, well, what do you want?
Right.
And you say, what do you mean? What do I want? What do you want? We go through life kind of filling and doing exactly what we're supposed to do, if it's our parents or our teachers or our loved ones. So I love that you said, what do you want? And I think those listening should really ask themselves what they want and figure out what you said, which was, you can keep reinventing yourself. There isn't a limit to it.
No. And we're told that there is, right? There becomes an age or a time or experience level that it just, you know, that all those things are limited in some way. And I also think, and that's why, you know, the topic of intentional business growth is just that, like, and again, the reason I'm so passionate about this is because I did it, right? Like when I started my business, my only goal was to get out of my corporate career, right? Like I never really stopped to think any of those things. How much do I want to work? What kind of clients? Like it was just get out. It was make money, get out, free myself from, at that time, what felt very restrictive, right? But all I wound up doing, Galit, without asking myself those questions, was recreating those same limitations. Just now I was in charge instead of somebody else being
yes,
right?
Yes.
You know, my business was successful, but I was still tied to a desk all of the time. I still had, you know, a bigger team than I wanted to have, and all these different things, because again, I never really stopped to ask myself the question of like the whole begin with the end in mind, right? It was just like one foot in front of the other. And my kids are small. My kids are 5 and 3. So, you know, it was a lot of survival mode. And when we take a step back and say, okay, we're not surviving anymore. We want to thrive. And what we've created, even if you're proud of it, even if it's successful, it doesn't mean that you have to keep doing it just because it's successful on paper.
Yeah. And I did something a bit different than a lot of people, because I've been an entrepreneur since right out of college, my first degree. I just kept all the businesses and just kept adding every time I got bored. So I did it a little bit different. So it is possible to keep the business that you were passionate about once. I even actually found my passion again. So being in commercial real estate since I was 22 years old, and I'm turning 50 in a few weeks, I have to tell you that I had to refine my passion by finding a new passion. So
Mhm.
it's another avenue that maybe people can go. And I just decided I like this idea of being a serial entrepreneur and now have 4 businesses. So you can keep adding too.
Sure.
I
Absolutely.
decided not to get rid of what's been so successful and just reinvent what it meant, what part I took in it.
Sure.
But I love that you bring up something that a lot of women come to me with, which is, I'm just not happy in my job. What else can I do? And then you went out and started your business. And then your business, it's not that you don't love it. You just needed to reinvent it and change it again. And I love that as well, because I think that that's such a key to happiness and success is, I'm not feeling so good about what I'm doing right now. I think I'm going to switch it up and maybe change it a little bit. So I love that you did that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
So let's jump into intentional business growth.
Yep.
That word for me is so powerful. Will you tell me what that word means to you, intentional?
Sure. To me, intentional, it means by design, right? It's by being very specific and designing something the way that you want it to look. What we need to be mindful of, at least in my experience, Galit, is with intention, it's not being married to there's only one way to do it, right? Because that's how we get stuck sometimes. But being mindful of, again, how do I, by design, create a business that I really enjoy? And like you said, maybe it's the role that you play in the business. Maybe it's the service delivery that changes, how you deliver service, who you hire in different roles. There's a million different ways to fine tune this. But for me, intention means by design.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And for me, intentional, it just really means I mean to do it and I want to.
Sure.
So it's the same thing, right? I want to do it and I mean to do it this way and I'm gonna do it this way. So I love that word for me has the most uplifting energy behind it for some reason. It's not I have to, but I want to. And that's the by design that you talked about. So I like the word that you use, design, because when I think of design, I almost think about if I want to redecorate my house and I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
So that's what it means to me. So it's interesting to see how those words play with each person. So let's give everybody some intentional business growth. What can they do to be intentional about their business growth?
Absolutely. So for me, it's first and foremost, it's the personal responsibility piece, right? It's understanding that life is happening for you and not to you.
Yes.
You know, there's so many women, and myself included, right? Where it's like, well, it just snowballed, it just got out of control. And people kept asking me, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I add this service? And then all of a sudden we wind up with this thing, at least that was my experience. I wound up with this thing that was just not for me at all. But I have to own my part in that, right? Right? Like for me, it is personal responsibility. Step 1 to intention is personal responsibility, deciding that, life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. And every single opportunity that I get exposure to, every person that I meet, I get to, again, intentionally decide, do I want this opportunity? Where do I put this in my priorities? So I think step 1 is that personal responsibility, putting yourself in the driver's seat. Because again, I see it so often with business owners that, maybe the business is struggling or it's not growing as quickly as we like, and we'll just take any kind of project, anybody who will pay us type of stuff. And that's, to me, that's not intentional, right? That is not by design. That's not personal responsibility. It's saying, hey, I'm just taking what I can get instead of I'm going to go out and curate what I really want. So I think step 1 for me is personal responsibility. And then step 2 for me, Galit, is really around, again, that question of what do you want, right? Like work backwards of, what type of business do you want to run? How much money do you want to make? How many employees do you want to make? Do you want to have an office? Do you want to be remote? Do you want, all of those different things? What kind of clients? And work backwards into what you want, right? In a perfect world, everything is amazing. You work 3 days a week from 9 to 3. You have a team no bigger than 10. They're all over the, whatever that is, just really getting clear on that. Because again, we cannot intentionally design what we don't decide we want.
If we don't know what we want.
Right? So for me, it's really taking that time to reverse engineer, Again,
Yeah.
how much time do you want to be on camera? If you're doing, like I do a lot of business remotely, I'm sure in commercial real estate, you do a lot face-to-face, but a lot of what I do is online. How much time do I want to spend in this chair talking
Yes.
to other humans, right? Like how
Yes.
much time do I want to spend in service delivery versus my job as a leader? How many people do I personally want to lead versus who are those people leading, right? Like what profit margins are attractive to me? Like those types of things is really sitting down and thinking about that first.
Mhm.
And again, these things can change, but
Of
when
course.
we have a clear vision of where we're going, that's where the intention comes in. When otherwise,
But
it's
this
just
is a great place to start
totally
for those people listening and going, where do I get started? Obviously, one of the things you said over and over again that I completely agree is you can reinvent yourself. So that's where the change, but what a great few steps for everybody to just get started with. Is there anything else we should tell them?
So for me, it's personal responsibility, right? Begin with the end in mind, and the final thing is persistence,
Yes.
and being open to the magic, right? So you're like, Ryan, you just told me to plan what I want. Now you're telling me to be open to the magic, right? We have to decide where we're going, but we have to be willing. For me, it's like really letting go of attached to like you just being really rigid in it. Like I'm not willing to take the blinders off and look left and look right, right? Because I think that's where the magic comes in, right? The random person that you meet at an event, or that person that, you haven't seen in 7 years randomly calls you, and, like being
I
open.
love random things.
Right.
Ryan, with age, I've learned more and more, and I'm going to say it because that's what we're talking about, letting go of control.
Amen.
So
Yep.
that way I can allow the things that come. And I am fascinated because when I realized the power of letting go of that plan that was only this way,
Yep.
everything opened up. And I think you said it so well, and I want to revisit that. It's okay to have a plan. You're not saying don't have a plan. Just be open to the plan shifting a little bit.
Or the way that you arrive at the destination.
Yes.
Right? Very clearly like, hey, I want to work 3 days a week. Be open to how that looks, right? Because again, where we begin is not where we end. And that's where I think so many successful women, we just put our blinders on and we do it, and we miss the magic, right? We miss the magic because we're so obsessed with how and this step and what it's supposed to look like, and looking left and looking right and comparing ourselves to other people. And so for me, it's those three things, right? It's personal responsibility. It's begin with the end in mind. And then it's be persistent, but be flexible.
Oh, I love that. And persistent is so important to all of those steps, because you could come up with the plan and you can take responsibility and you can do all of and be open to the magic. But if you're not doing it consistently and being persistent with it, it doesn't get done. Amen. It's like that. I know you've experienced it and love them to pieces. Someone that says, one day I'm going to, or I'm going to do this, or I want to do this, and then nothing ever happens and they never follow through. So please, everybody that's watching and listening, recognize this. Take the steps that Ryan mentioned. They're brilliant. But more than anything, be persistent, because the other steps mean nothing if you don't do it constantly, continuously, and persistently. Please, 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 because that to me is the key to everything that we're talking about with intentional business growth. Ryan, these steps have been so amazing. I think what I love most about doing the show is sometimes we come on and from the outside looking in, someone might say, well, those are so simplistic. No, they're the most brilliant steps, because most people don't take the most simplistic steps. Haven't you experienced that?
Absolutely. Myself included.
All right. Tell everybody how you work with your community and your clients and how they can learn more about you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Galit. So yeah, Be in the Room we call it Conscious Leadership Collective. So it's a 12-month membership style program that is peer-to-peer mentorship and community. So we are the true definition of a mastermind. All of our education comes from our membership. So it's a really magical space. And we find we serve the middle market really well, meaning most of the business owners in our community, are past the 6-figure mark, somewhere between, 150 to 200 up to that $1 million to $1.2 million mark. Women who are not looking for necessarily another coach or another blueprint or another, how to, but really just looking for other smart, successful women to
support system.
Yep. So that's Be in the Room. So you can find us at beintheroom.org. We do have a Facebook group called Be in the Room. We do a weekly show called The Leadership Circle, where we actually feature our members and have really cool conversations with our membership. And we do that both inside of our Facebook group and on YouTube.
Beintheroom.org.
Mm-hmm.
And they can also find Be in the Room Facebook community.
Yep.
Is that correct? Perfect. And I'm sure you're on all the social medias.
Yep,
Are you on as Ryann Dowdy?
Yep.
Okay, great. So if you guys want to get a hold of Ryann, please go ahead and check out our Facebook group, check out our website, and then also you can reach out to her through social media. I know most of us are pretty easy to get a hold of because we want you to reach out. We want to help you. We want to support you. And that's what Ryan's group is here to do as well. So thank you so much, Ryann, for taking the time to talk to us about your journey, about intentional business growth, about your amazing community. I appreciate you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Galit.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another episode of The Successful Woman's Mindset. My name is Galit Ventura-Rozen, and I'll see you next time. Bye.